There you go.
Alright guys, hi, my name is Mike Drisley and I'm here with my colleagues Miguel and Kyle, and we just got done processing some deer with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in cooperation with the Newton FFA program here at the Newton Agri-Science building. And we're here with David Peaty, the main teacher here, so we're going to ask him a few questions. Alright, Mr. Peaty, where were you when you were our age, and how did you get from where you were then to where you are today?
That's a really good question, Michael. And that happens, that's a question a lot of seniors ask, you know, what to do. They're all worried about where to go to school, what they want to do for a livelihood. And I distinctly remember when I was in high school, I was an ag, and I really wanted to be a veterinarian. And so I was looking at veterinary schools, and or schools that I could at least have pre-vetted. And the one I really chose that I really wanted to go to was the University of Maine at Orono. Unfortunately, I told all my friends that that's where I was going to go. And then two other kids decided they were going to go there. And I was actually I was introverted, as that may seem strange to you at this stage of the game, but I really couldn't talk to anybody. But through FFA and Ag, I learned to become a public speaker and sort of came out of my shell. So I decided to go someplace where my friends weren't going. And I went to Montana State University. And at that point, nobody had ever been to Montana State University from our high school, so nobody could give me any advice. I had never flown, so I had never been to Montana. And unlike today, most kids go to colleges and go check them out. No, I got on a plane, learned how to go from airport to airport to airport, and landed in an airport in Belgrade, Montana, and me and four people got off the plane. They got in a car and left. The lady who was running the airport got up in her car and left. The guy who took the luggage off the plane got off in his car and left. And here I was standing in 15 miles away from nowhere by myself. So, so I learned how to kind of grow up pretty quick. And but what I found out was I had no idea how to actually get good grades in college. And I think a lot of your colleagues, and hopefully you guys don't have this problem, but they have that problem. You were able to get through high school pretty easily, you know, you didn't really have to work hard, maybe a couple classes, but for the most part you kind of just, you know, did your thing. And that's kind of what I did. That didn't work. That doesn't work. And you find yourself not having the grades you need to get into vet school. And of course the kids who want to get into vet school, who understood that, they're getting straight A's and, you know, getting like straight C's. And that's not working out so well for me. So, so I had to figure out what else I'd like to do. And I always enjoyed being in the outdoors. Some of my FFA, SAE programs, projects involved building a pond and things like that. So, and I like to hunt, I like to fish. So I thought, wow, fishery science would be a pretty cool thing to be in. But there weren't a whole lot of jobs in that. And so my grades started to get better, but they still weren't super. So I decided to take a trimester off and clear my head and think about what I really wanted to do and what it really mattered to me. So I went to work for Riggle Paper Mill, and I worked 16 hours a day for those guys. I figured, what the heck, might as well make as much money as I possibly can. And when you're riding a propane forklift for 16 hours a day, you have a lot of time to think about the direction you want to go in life. And my ag teacher kept telling me I should be an ag teacher. So I went back to Montana and started going into education. And I found that I liked doing it. It was a passion. I enjoyed teaching. And I knew I would rather enjoy teaching agriculture rather than biology or chemistry or physics. And if I stayed in Montana, I would have had a degree earlier, and I would have probably been teaching at some small school in rural Montana, not agriculture, but every one of the sciences. So I came home at Christmas the next year, and I went down to Delaware Valley College of Science and Agriculture, and there wasn't anybody there except for some guy walking around, and his name's Josh Feldstein, and he was the president of the campus. And so Christmas didn't really mean much to him since he was Jewish, so he was wandering around the school. And he came up to me, he goes, can I help you there? Because I was the only other person wandering around the school. And I told him, and he goes, oh. So we sat down, he invited me into his house. He asked me if I could get a letter of rec for one of my teachers. I said, yes, I'm sure I could. And what happened was I called up a teacher, and he sent him a letter of rec. I went home, celebrated New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, got in on the plane, flew out to Montana, hopped in my Pinto and drove back to Del Val, and the rest is history, as they say. I wound up going and teaching, and I've been teaching here for 38 years, and I have loved every minute of it. So that's how I got here, and that's a story of me.
When you were growing up, do you have any interest that you have built into your work?
Absolutely. As I said before, when I was in high school, I was an ag also. I was an Aggie. And we had supervised agriculture experience projects that you had to do. And we lived on a piece of property on a hillside, kind of landscape, or land class 6, 7. I had a couple horses, but we didn't have any water except for a little stream. And so my mom and dad had to pay a pretty high price for fire insurance for the house. So I thought, well, what if I built a pond? And so I built a trout pond, and I actually started raising trout and in my pond. And you know, I also did a whole lot of hunting, so that outdoor stuff really became even stronger to me. It's interesting that we were the first high school in the state of New Jersey to actually do aquaculture, and we have more aquaculture today than any other high school in the state, and that's probably because I have a love of fishery science, and although we're raising tilapia now, we have raised freshwater shrimp and trout, so I think part of that is there. Also this hunter education and Hunters Helping Hungry. That's just an outreach off of my love and passion for the outdoors. So that's, I would say, yeah, it's the passion of my childhood has become part of the passion of my adult teaching career.
What obstacles have you overcome to get where you are today?
Probably the biggest obstacle was trying to figure out how to get good grades. I really had no idea. And all I know is I wasn't getting good grades. And of course, when you're not getting good grades, you think the only thing you need to do is study more. It's not study more. It's study more effectively, efficiently. And I don't think high school teaches that at all. I think we're remiss at that. And so I try to teach some of that in my ag class, particularly to my seniors. I give them a technique that will work in college. Whether or not they use it or not is up to them. But I know what it was like, and it was very difficult. When a friend of mine, who's now a pediatrician out in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, sat me down and said, I can teach you the secret. I was like, yeah, you know, because I needed it. And of course, when I came back from Riggle Paper Mill, that's what I needed. That's what I knew. I had to do something different. And so that obstacle was pretty big. And I think that obstacle is there for a lot of young people today. And it doesn't take long to learn how to do it. It just takes time to commit yourself to doing it.
Can you describe a day in the life of your job?
Well, what I'm doing right now does not happen. I rarely get to sit down.
That's true.
I show up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm go from the day, the minute I get here. Even if I have a prep period or a period off, preparing something downstairs or doing something else or working with students, and that's fine with me because that's what I'm here for. my day does not end at 2:35. My day ends when I'm done doing what I'm doing. And sometimes that's 4 o'clock, sometimes it's not, you know. But, so it's busy, and there's a lot more educational things we have to do now, like student growth objectives and things like that, that kind of get in the way, SGOs. But that's education. It goes up and down, it goes through cycles. But it's busy, and that's, next thing you know, it's 3:30.
What skills must someone absolutely have to succeed in your field?
The ability to be flexible. The ability to understand that when you teach something to somebody, if they don't get it, you need to come up with another way to explain it. And you need to continually come up with different ways. You need to be flexible in your delivery.
If you had one piece of advice to give young people getting ready to jump into the real world, what would it be?
Forget about how much money you're going to make, and follow a passion. Whatever it is that you really like to do, then try to find a career in that area. There's not been a day that I woke up and said, looked at myself in the mirror and said, man, you know what? What were you thinking wanting to be a teacher, be an agriculture teacher? That's not to say that there's not a day I wake up in the morning and go, I'd rather be fishing today, you know? That happens with any job you do, okay? You know, but I come in every day excited about the day, and it's a passion. I'm at a stage right now, I've been teaching 38 years, and if you looked at the financial side of it, logic would tell you I should have retired a year ago, because I would actually be making more money through my pension and Social Security put together than I'm getting paid that I come home with right now. So financially, it makes no sense for me to come and teach. All right? I teach because it's a passion, and I love doing what I'm doing. So I would suggest, whatever it is you do, I don't care what it is, it's got to be a passion. And then you won't work a day in your life. And the next thing you know, you'll wake up one day and you will have been doing something for 38 years and go, where'd those 38 years go? So good luck to you guys. You know, follow your heart, follow your passion, and trust me, when I'm long gone and in the ground, you'll be sitting there going, the guy was right. Passion.
Thank you for your wise words.
You're welcome.
For the interview and allowing us to do
You're
our
welcome.
5 hours of service. We truly appreciate it, and thank you for everything that you've done for us today.
Thanks for coming in and helping with this Hunters Helping Hungry and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. It was impressive.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bam!
Peter, you nailed that one.
Ha ha ha.